you? Yeah.
I think it's different for everyone. I think, well, I can only speak to myself. I think I share a dressing room with the lovely Jacob Rosario over there, which is, we keep a very light dressing room. And so I think things like that are really important, especially for me, because as you can probably guess, it's a very heavy type of role. You kind of have to, do the thing every night, which is, I mean, I'm very lucky that it doesn't happen on stage, but you still feel it. I mean, I just like to keep the environment outside of the stage really light, keep jokes happening, all of those types of things. And also, we've just got an amazing supportive cast. So every time you go up to someone and feel like, oh, I'm having a bit of a day, everyone is so on board. And it's a really, it's a massive testament to everyone up here. It's just like, I can, as Bo said, I can go to anyone here and talk about absolutely anything. I mean, well, not everything, but most things, and everyone kind of is really on board and helpful, and I think that's really integral. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Did anyone else want to add to that? Yeah. No? Yes. Please.
I think one of the reasons is because our director Dean set up from day one an incredibly safe space. So we all have a very deep respect for this piece. We have a deep respect for this piece, and we did from day one. And so we came into the room and were all quite open about, in a table read over a couple of days, psychologically this might affect people in different ways. We're telling this story. Suicide is a very, very complex thing, and although the story doesn't really focus on that in terms of Evan's journey, we have a deep respect for the piece, and therefore there was a deep respect for each other. And so the reason that we can keep it light is because there's this sort of deep knowing that we've all got each other's back because we're dealing with this material. And as Bo said, it's quite rare, particularly for a musical, and it's quite special. So hopefully you feel that, because as a cast member, and being an older cast member and having been in lots of musicals, it is a really special group of young people and slightly older, that we know that, to share your heart like that, there has to be a kind of bravery, and it kind of was that from day one, I think.
Well, thank you for your question, first of all. It is a challenge, I suppose. Actually, no, I withdraw that. It's almost easier to play someone that's not yourself, because if you do put too much of yourself into a character, it is a lot easier to not be able to kind of differentiate between the two. And I'm very lucky, there's about 3 different versions of Connor that we see throughout the show, through emails and through Evan's perspective as well. But kind of during the start of the show, I don't really kind of talk to anyone at the start, just because it is a bit of a process to get into that space. But yeah, I don't really know if that answers your question. But
you're a great actor.
No, but it was a bit of it was hard to get into it straight away. I think it took me a lot of time to kind of find, especially at the start, Connor, when he is alive, when he is kind of the real Connor. That took me a fair while to get, just because I'm just not that moody, I suppose. But Dean, our director, Dean Bryant, was amazing. He just kind of says a sentence and then it makes sense. I don't know if anyone else felt this, but he would just say something and be like, his skin hurts. I remember that one for me. I was like, oh yeah, like that, and you kind of get that real jittery, I mean, I've never experienced it, but I can imagine for someone who is going through all of those, super, he's at the end of his tether, it would, every ounce of yourself would just hurt, and I feel sorry for him every day, just, poor guy, but yeah, but he's,
I think that's the thing too, you have an empathy for that character, so even though it's hard, you generating, understanding, so I guess it's easier to sit inside something when you when you feel for that person as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely.
The band, that's a good question, Zara. They're underneath us.
Yeah, when I came out and bowed, I wasn't pointing at my shoes, I was pointing down. The band are like literally directly below us. I sit about there at my keyboard facing that back wall, and they all sit facing me. And if you turn around, you can see there's these two screens up there. You can kind of see half the keyboard, so I'm projected onto that, and so the cast can choose to watch me or not.
Right, I'm getting the back, but I will come up the back here because we had one question, but you have to give me a big voice. Does everyone have a universal version of Connor Murphy in their minds that they are remembering as they move through the show?
I'll go really quickly, and then we can have a couple of people maybe quickly. But I know that, like, I don't think we've decided on a universal Connor, because all of us have a different Connor that we know and meet, I think, in this production. So, you know, personally, I believe my Connor is a kind of split of Evan's personality that turns into two sides of Evan. So when you do see Connor talking to Evan, it is Evan talking to Evan, and it's just those bad parts of himself, and trying to convince him to do these things, and yeah, that's how I see it, if that makes any sense. Kind of the good side and bad side of Evan, kind of negotiating his way through these situations. That's for me, at least.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Come on. Okay.
Me?
Yes. You want it?
I wasn't really expecting this. So I think it's very interesting for Alana because I feel like Alana is a very observant person. So when she keeps saying, "Oh, I think he was in my chemistry class, he's in my English class, we presented together on Huck Finn," it's like she's only wanting to remember the good parts about Connor, and so I think with her trying to associate when he passes quite early on, and trying to associate and hang on to that memory of who he is and who she think he could have been if he had stayed and kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. And Jacob, what about you? Because obviously you're riding the MR stars. So, yes.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting for Jared because Jared as a character, I think just wants connection, as like Evan. So Jared's version of Connor is just the version of a companion that he wants. Hence why he writes all these emails and writes the Sincerely Me reprize. Yeah.
It's beautiful. And actually we all want a companion, so I think that's like a beautiful note for us to finish on. It's a bad segue, but I think thank you all so much for being here. And I just wanted to say quickly, with any of the conversation that we've had tonight, or if any of the content of the show has brought anything up for you and you want to seek help or have a conversation about that, you can go to our website. And there's things on there, and there's also links in the program, so please do. And thank you so much for being with us, and tell all your friends. Thank you so much.